Good evening, everyone. It is your girl, Marcie Thomas, here with you for another episode of Live Well Sister. I am really excited to be with you this evening as we're going to have a very powerful conversation that really pertains to all of us, no matter where we are in our state of life. We need to know what's going on with our money. And as you can see, I had to put on my money green and a little gold so I could represent today to have more coming in. So please come in the room and join us and let other people know who might need a little help or some tips in how to better manage or strategize when it comes to money matters. So if you haven't been here before, once again, I'm Marcie Thomas, founder of Brown Girl Collective and Live Well Sister, where we talk about all of the different things to help us to live our best lives. And tonight is no exception. So I'm really excited about the guest that we're going to have. And she is Dr. Constance Craig-Mason, who is a master registered financial consultant and the CEO of Concierge Financial Advisory and Investment Advisor representative at Forthright Capital Partners. That's a lot of words right there. So she is a dedicated financial advisor and award-winning insurance broker, passionate international speaker, and an 8-time best-selling author with book titles including Money Talks, Girl Get Up and Win, and Courageous Enough to Launch, to name a few. She also teaches her clients to correctly manage their money so that they can live the life they want without worrying about money. And how many of us want to be able to live that way? Now, she has so many different recognitions that we will be here all night just talking about how wonderful she is. But most recently, she received an Honorary Doctorate of Philosophy for her eminent contributions to financial literacy, financial advancement, leadership development, and entrepreneurship empowerment. She was a 2022 honoree of the Association of African American Financial Advisors 50 Under 50 and a 2023 honoree of the National Academy of Professional Speakers, Authors, and Coaches Excellence in Professional Speaking Award. So that is a lot. But what we want to do now is bring this wonderful, dynamic speaker and financial guru to the room. Thank you and welcome to Dr. Constance Craig-Mason. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Marcie, for having me. I'm excited to be here with you.
Did you call me Dr. Marcie?
I did. It's so many doctors in my space of brown girls. Listen, I'm gonna just throw that out there, and you receive.
Yes, ma'am. That is on the vision board. That one day I too shall get an honorary doctorate. So from your mouth to God's ears.
Yes.
So welcome. I'm so excited to have you here, as I've mentioned, just because the work that you do is so powerful. And it's really something that's important for us because we all want to get our money right. We all want to, how to not just survive, but be able to thrive. And the work that you do empowers and enables people to do that.
Right. Yeah, I truly appreciate the opportunity to share tonight with your village of brown girls. And let's just power away. Ask me anything you like.
Yes. Well, first question is, how did you get into this work? Because you are in a space that there aren't too many people who look like us. Mm-hmm. So what was it that made you decide to go into the financial world?
That's a great question. And people often ask it. And I often say, I did not choose this industry. It chose me. My own pains and being uncomfortable about money and my own circumstances in my young adult life, pushed me to want more. It pushed me to pursue financial literacy. I didn't know that's what it was called at the time, but I was just looking and even Googling how I could improve my own financial situation. And I was doing the work. I would Google things, apply the knowledge that I had learned, and then I would see the results and I would get super excited about it. I would tell everybody in my midst, family, friends, people on the bus stop, didn't matter. I was just so super excited about what I was learning and applying that I would share with other people. And a good girlfriend of mine was like, listen, I've watched you do this work on yourself. You're making great strides. You could earn a living from helping people with their money. And I never thought about it in that way. I was just a helpful, resourceful person. And I didn't do it right away. It took me almost 7 years after she made that recommendation for me because life happens. You know, I had young children. I was not married at the time. I had a lot going on, and I saw it as another thing. Put it in the chat if you've ever felt like trying to improve yourself was another thing on the list of things that you already have to do. And so I put it off. You know, I put it off for so long until January of 2009. I went to a meeting that she had invited me to. I learned all about, you know, how to get licensed in the space and how to be able to help people that look like me. And I couldn't believe it because that meant that I would actually be a business owner. And I had, you know, been working 2 and 3 jobs just to make the ends meet. And here she was saying, no, you could have your own business, getting licensed and helping people. And I was like, I'm in. Like, I didn't know what it was going to be like, what the journey would be like. But I knew that if I could do it for myself, I could do it for my sisters. I could do it for my cousins. I could do it for people at the church. And that's really where I started, with that circle of people.
Mm-hmm. And that's so powerful. You know, first of all, just the fact that, you know, someone planted a seed and, you know, at first you're kind of like, okay. And then you let that seed sit there for a while, good 7 years before you actually pursued it. And you're so right. Life happens. You know, things get in the, I'm not going to say get in the way, but other things become priority. I'll put it that way, where, you know, you have to focus on a family or caring for a parent, or, you know, you're just trying to make ends meet, whatever it is, that sometimes those other things get put aside. And that's why I kind of wanted to start there, because just for anyone who's watching, whether you're catching this live or watching this on the replay, to understand that sometimes you can have something can be in you, and it might take a while. It doesn't happen overnight all the time. So one of the things, you are a financial strategist. So as a financial strategist, what does that really entail in the work that you do with your clients?
Great question again. So I love numbers. I'm a weirdo like that, right? Some people are like, ugh, numbers, insurance. But for me, I like to get into asking my clients, you know, what is it that you want out of your life? And that's a narrative, really, right? You're telling me your story. You're telling me where you came from. You're telling me where you would like to be. And for me, all I'm hearing is numbers in my head. It's like, okay, so this is where you want to live. This is the schools you want to send your kids to. Here are the entrepreneurship opportunities that you want to explore. Like, I'm hearing the narrative, but for me, it's like, what do we have to do numerically so that she can get there? And so you don't have to worry about crunching all those numbers. That's what I do, right? But what I share with my clients is, you definitely, just like learning, you don't want to overwhelm yourself all at once. And so even though you might want to buy a home and start a business and put your kids in private school and do all these things, like, you might not be able to do everything at once, and that's okay. But you can prioritize those important things, right? Those things that is really, really like, I need to do this like ASAP, right? The rest of it, a year, 2 years, we can sketch it out. But for me, it's like, I can take care of the how, right? You just need to tell me the what. What is it that you want? And ironically, I know I'm a wife, I'm a mom, I'm a grandmom. And oftentimes we feel like we're putting ourselves, or people put us, however you see it, on the back burner. So it's like, even if you say, Constance, I want to do this and this and this, you know, when was the last time somebody asked you that? When was the last time somebody asked you about your goals, your dreams, your desires? Well, I am that one. I will sit up here and ask you about it, dream with you, laugh, cry with you, because this is a village, right? And we are much more alike than we are different. And I always tell people, been there, done that, got the t-shirt, probably 3 t-shirts, because I have been where a lot of my clients either presently are or headed toward. And so I don't only have the licensing and the experience of being in this field, I have personal experience going through financial challenges myself. So I know what that shame feels like. I know what not wanting to tell people what it really is, because you think they're going to judge you. I've been there, and I understand that. And I try my best to make it easy for people to just share, right?
Oh, that is so important, to be able to share. And it's not like, yes, you're thinking numbers and all that, but you're also listening to people and hearing their stories and, maybe, diving into money mindset and all these different things that can oftentimes keep people, in a space that's not good for them. So, we know there are the tactical things that we need to do, strategies that we need to have. A lot of time it first starts up here. What are you thinking? What's going on in your head that's keeping you from doing what it is that you need to do? Look like we might be frozen for a second. Hopefully not. Hold on, everybody. Want to make sure. For those of you there we go. Yeah, she must have froze. So she should be back here in just a moment. But for anyone, Constance asked a little earlier, like if we have like certain challenges or things that might get in the way, or sometimes we think we can't do a thing that because of other things that are happening in our lives. So if anybody has ever experienced that, you don't have to tell us what it is. It's none of our business. But if you've ever experienced that, or if it's something that you're really working towards or thinking about and you're trying to figure out how, share that in the comments, because we really like to know and hear from everyone who's here, kind of what's going on, who's here, some of the things you might be challenged with, or even if you have a question that you think you want to ask Constance when she gets back into the space, please feel free to share that. Because some of the things we're going to talk about are insurance, of course, since that's one of her specialties. We're also going to dive into some things about entrepreneurship, because we know that Black women are becoming entrepreneurs at a very high rate. And, there's certain things that we may need to do to prepare ourselves for that, retirement, all those good things. So we're just going to wait here for a couple of seconds, and then we will be able to dive in. So while we're waiting, you can, let us know who's in the room, where you're joining us from, anything to help us keep things going as we wait for a moment. I guess this is the week, because I had some issues with that on Monday too, so I don't know what's going on. I'm here. But I don't know where the other people have been this week. Some technical difficulties, but that's what happens when you are using technology. So bear with us for just a moment. Hi, Claudia. Thank you so much for being here from New York. I don't think I mentioned it earlier, as I normally do. I'm coming to you from the outskirts of Atlanta, Georgia, originally from Cleveland, Ohio. So, yes, it's one of those things where I've had a lot of experience in living different places and having to navigate all the different ups and downs and things in life in terms of making decisions. Yes. Somebody said they were just reaching out on IG. I'm not quite sure who that is, because it doesn't show me a name. So if you want to drop your name, that would be great, so I know who it is. And let me see here. If you can bear with me for just a second, and we'll see about Dr. Constance. So hold on one second. All right. All right. Yes, thank you. This is just that week. I think I told you earlier. It happened earlier in the week. So I'm glad that you're back. I'm glad you're back. And we were just talking about your work as a financial strategist. And So in doing that work, what do you find that are some of the biggest challenges, specifically when you're dealing with like Black women clients?
Yeah, like I alluded to earlier, even myself included. You can still hear me okay?
You're good. For a second, it froze again.
Marcie, you say you can hear me?
I cannot. Froze for a second.
Okay. Yeah, it's the shame that comes along with whatever you're challenged with. And I always to execute something that you may not have ever learned. So if you had not ever seen good behavioral finances in your home, or maybe even in your church, or you didn't grow up with a silver spoon in your mouth, it may be difficult for you to navigate that space once you become a young adult, and once you start getting out there and buying your home and buying your cars and trying to send your kids to school. Of course, we have things that we want to do, but a lot of times we're winging it, right? We're figuring it out as we go. And if that's your life, there's no reason to be ashamed of it. But once you get a little bit uncomfortable, right, your timeline is getting smaller and smaller with the things that you want to do, or you find that, maybe because maybe credit score is not optimal, that you're having to pay, higher interest for certain things. Like those are the uncomfortable things that kind of push us toward getting some professional help. And that's okay. Sometimes we come willingly, and sometimes we come just because it's super uncomfortable. And so, like I was sharing earlier, there is no shame. So if you find yourself sitting in front of a financial coach or an advisor or even an insurance agent, and you're sharing with them, here's the pressing thing that's going on in my life. Obviously, you want them to mitigate that, make it better, make it easier for you, make it affordable, whatever your desire is at that moment. But understand that it just doesn't stop there, right? There's some literacy that we can add value to you, some things that it will begin to click and make sense, right? It's not just about pushing products on people. The product is the how, right? What we need to do is guided by you. It's really us getting an understanding of what you've got going on and what your goals are. And the product, it may be something that we do for you, but it might be some DIY, right? It might be some things that, maybe you have to do on your own to prepare for the next step, right? So I find that people think they have to have a lot of money to be able to talk to a financial professional, which is not true. I find that people think that I've heard this, I'm just not good with money. I've heard people say, I'm just not good at saving, and that may be part of your self-awareness.
Right.
It may be, or it may be something that you're just not taking accountability for, because you really can do it. You just haven't prioritized it. Or maybe it looks a lot harder than it has to be. And so it's one of those things that you put on the back burner. I'll get to it later because I just can't deal with that right now. And so simplicity is really important where it comes to, finance, because if you make something super simple for someone to understand and convenient for someone to take action, then there's really only if they're going to do it or not, because we've taken away all of the other challenges that could get in the way of them being like actionable.
Right, and that's so important, actionable items. Because I did not get a chance to tell you this, but I'm not currently in the business. But years ago, I was in the insurance business, worked for State Farm.
Really? Okay.
Yes. So I know all about insurance and the different products. And, I didn't have the certifications to like sell investment products, but, of course, the person who owned the agency did. But I would hear the stories and see some of the things that people would say when they come through and they're thinking about insurance specifically. So we can spend a few minutes talking about that, because a lot of times people, and I know you see it, people will insure their car because they have to. They'll insure their home because they have to.
Yes.
And I was living in Detroit, so they were insuring their diamonds and their fur coats because they didn't want them to,
Yeah.
They didn't want to, lose those. If something were to happen, they want to be able to recoup. But when you talk to them about life insurance.
Yeah.
So do you find that a challenge sometimes with your clients and the people that you're working with?
Thankfully, not in the circles I've been in, because a lot of the circles I've been in are professional women,
Gotcha.
are entrepreneurial women, and we are all about the what ifs. We understand that life happens, and a lot of us are mothers or parents. And so I may get someone who may be challenged with their budget. They might have that issue, like, oh, I know I want it. I just want to make sure that I can afford it and keep it in place. But I have rarely found, when I've sat down with a woman, even if she came to me with something related to her credit or her budget or whatever, I'm the type of person where I'm like, we're going to get to that, but I want to make sure that your foundation is strong. So I take them through Financial Literacy 101, which definitely includes asset protection. And they don't shy away from it, thankfully. They take heed to the lessons, they understand how it works. And I love the aha moments that come up. So some of the aha moments that come up when we're talking about insurance is, and especially since this life insurance awareness month, so you plug that right on in there.
I'm with you.
But this is actually a great time for people to be like, I've been meaning to get to that, right? I've been meaning to ask my agent about this thing, or, I'm paying too much. Maybe there's a cheaper way for me to do the same thing. So this is the prime time for you to be having these conversations with your agent. But one of the things that people think about when they think about life insurance is the death benefit, of course.
Mm-hmm.
It brings up our mortality. So a lot of people don't like thinking about when they're not going to be here. But I love talking about legacy. And it's not just leaving someone a bunch of money or your homes, your cars, your bank accounts, all of that stuff. That's going to happen regardless, right? If you have some, it's got to go to somebody. That's going to happen. But when I talk about legacy, I talk about the name you create while you're here, right? The beliefs, the value systems, what you're passionate about, all of that also is legacy. And you get to do that every single day that you're breathing. Right. So the policy is the tangible aspect of legacy, right? You get to leave money and assets. But when I'm sharing with my clients, it's like, who are you? Who are you, sis? What are you trying to accomplish while you're here? That then is your legacy. And yes, when you leave, you have an awesome name. You have stood for something. And yes, your children's children get to have not just the proud legacy of great-great-grandmother Constance or Marcie or whomever. They get to walk in that modeling that you did before them, right? The good money habits that you shared with them while you were alive. The great experiences that you took them on while you were alive. All of that is legacy too. So I get super excited about living the life, which is, all about my business, living the life you want without worrying about money. And if a policy is part of that, then that's what it is, right? If maximizing your savings is a part of that comfort or that lack of anxiety, that's what it is. If setting up traditional retirement accounts, if that's what it is. But what I try to impress upon you, what are we doing all of this for?
Right.
What is all this about?
What's the purpose?
You're giving, like I said, the numbers is we're giving this money a job based on the narrative. The narrative is Marcie wants to model before her children and grandchildren that it's okay to pour from a full cup. And we get into philanthropy because this is something that maybe hurt the family or cancer, anything that seemingly was devastating at one point. And you want to be a part of the solution. But wouldn't it be great if you could give in a way that matters to you. If you could leave that organization money in your policy, right?
Mm.
So that cancer organization or your church or whomever is doing the work, you can leave funds to that company. So now you did it while you were alive. You went and did the races. You were a part of the breast cancer galas. You gave your money while you were here, and you left 10%, 20% of your life insurance directly to that organization, right?
Mm.
So it's about living the life now, modeling before people who are watching you live your best life. And when it's all said and done, yes, you will leave those tangible items for your family, your children's children to enjoy, and for the causes that you support to
Right.
enjoy.
Well, I already know I'm in Georgia. You're licensed in Georgia. You and I will be talking because, well, I don't have children. So, and I have to go back because, you froze. I was tripping up in my mind about grandmother. Say what? But grandmother. But but that's an offline conversation. But no, I don't have children. But even though I don't have children, I still think about legacy, honestly.
Mhm.
Because it's like, this work that I'm doing here or with a Brown Girl Collective and, just other things that are in my heart that I want to do as a part of that legacy. So, yes, I need to have a plan so that those things can happen as well. So you brought up earlier saving. And I know a lot of times saving is a challenge for people because of debt.
Mm.
If someone is in a debt situation, and do you normally, well, of course, every situation is different, but generally,
Right.
is saving most important, investing most important, or getting out of debt first, or putting them together?
So let me give my disclaimer. Okay. So this is not individual investment or financial advice because it is tailored to each individual as it should be. But we do understand that debt is a hindrance to the other things that we want to do. It can get in the way, right? And so instead of me giving my clients an idea of an either or, I say and, right? Which means, of course, you have to pay your creditors, right? That is part of our financial integrity, right? Just like we have integrity, we say we're going to do in our relationships, right? We have to do that with our finances too, because if a bank has leveraged, if we have leveraged the bank's money for our life, right? We've bought a home or we bought a car with the bank's money and they have given us a contract. Okay, you have to pay every 15th of the month, whatever it is.
Got a little hesitation. Hopefully, it's just brief because she was getting into the good stuff. All right. We'll give it just a second. Hopefully, it'll come back quickly. Yes, we're just getting into the good stuff. Anyone, if you do have any questions that we can ask Constance, please drop them in the chat so that we can make sure that we address them because we've got about 30-ish minutes left and we want to make sure we hit on some of the questions that you may have. She may not be able to give you, specifics, to your situation, but she can at least give you some ideas. So if you do have a financial advisor or someone that you work with, that you are able to, know what questions to ask if you're not able to work with her. So, and as we've been talking, you can see at the bottom, all of Constance's information is scrolling. So if you want to follow her on IG or get with her on LinkedIn or go directly to her website to, schedule an appointment and find out more, to do more, and to make sure that you are working towards having that a good financial strategy for yourself, whatever that needs to be, whether it's the saving or the investments or retirement or building a business, whatever those things may be. We want to make sure that you have the information that allows you to do that. So we're just going to give her a second. I don't know. Sometimes weather is bad in certain parts of the country that impacts the stability of the internet, and that could be what is happening here. But I do appreciate everyone's patience, and we look forward to continuing here in just a moment. All right, we're going to give Constance a couple more moments to come back. But while we're waiting for her, of course, a lot of times as we're thinking about making money, of course, there or doing things with the money that we make. Let me rephrase that. There are a lot of things that we might deal with in that process. And so next week, just want to let you know, we're actually going to talk about the workplace with Dr. Adia Harvey Wingfield. She will be here next week to talk about her forthcoming book, Gray Areas. Gray areas, how the way we work perpetuates racism and what we can do to fix it. So stay tuned for that. And hopefully all the technical glitches will be worked out in due time for next week's conversation. But this is important as well, so that, as we are earning in our workplaces and just in the marketplace as a whole, I should say, that we can deal with some of the things that we unfortunately sometimes encounter when we are in the workplace. So be on the lookout for that next week. And, we're waiting for Constance to pop back in so that we can finish tonight and you can know what to do with that money that you make in the job. So hold on again, one more moment, please. All right, everybody. I just connected with Constance, and unfortunately, we are going to have to reschedule because she is just not able to get back online. Unfortunately, sometimes those things happen. So what we're going to do is reschedule, and I'll let you know as soon as possible what the new date is going to be. I do apologize for that, but as I said, we're dealing with technology, and she's saying everything she's trying, and it's her Wi-Fi. It's not letting her reconnect at all. So there's not much we can really do about that at this time. So I am going to connect with her and let you all know what the rescheduled date is. So stay tuned. We're going to look to do it sooner than later, and it may end up not being on a Wednesday. We may have to do it on a different day, but as soon as I can get a new date so that we can come back in and have this important conversation, because it is an important conversation, we will return. So thank you so much for your patience. Thank you for being here, and I look forward to seeing you again on the rescheduled date. And until then, take care and live well. All right.